Hello everyone, welcome to public holiday edition of the weekly Purple Penny coin video. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny along with my wife Catherine. We're a small coin dealer in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, and we've been here for about 4.5 years. It's public holiday here in South Australia today, and we are mostly having a day off because the Adelaide Coin Expo is coming up next weekend. So we thought we'd have a day off, so I've just ducked in today to do the video. Catherine's still at home. Hello everyone, thank you for watching. I'll just say a few hellos to people. Hello Peter, Brad, Tanya, Gary, Michelle, John, Gwen, Justin and David. So last week was quite a good week, apart from the mint release on Thursday. Of course there was another mint release on Thursday last week, which was out of the normal timing. We had the 60th anniversary of Bathurst coloured 50-cent piece released. They were released through the Mint's physical shop, their phone line, the customer call centre, also authorised distributors like us, and also through Repco, which was a bit unusual. We knew it was going out through Repco, but the Mint didn't publicise that because I guess it's up to Repco to publicise that. And as you probably know, we had a few interesting phone calls on Thursday, to the point where Catherine suggested I make a post about it because I was starting to get a little bit cranky with people on the phone, which I shouldn't do, but I was. I will just reiterate, we get from the Mint what we get. We ask for a certain number of coins, and they distribute their allocations as fairly as possible. And when there is a co-branded release like this one that was also distributed through Repco, often the wholesale allocation to authorised dealers like us is not very large. And we've been here for 4 years, and our regular customer base is bigger than ever. We get many people coming in here every week, supporting us through good times and bad, and buying the popular releases and the not so popular releases. And because of sort of that increased demand here inside the shop, and the allocations we get from the Mint are really no bigger than what they were 4 years ago, it means often our allocations are easily sold very quickly here to even just the regulars that support us. And while we're happy to answer questions on the phone, if I don't know who you are and you've just surfaced out of nowhere and you start getting aggressive with me on the phone, you will get shut out fairly quickly. So I do apologise for the bit of negativity that came through on our Facebook page on Thursday. I try to keep those things bottled up, but kudos to Catherine for suggesting that we share that with you, just to let you know that it's not all beer and Skittles in here, and we do this because we enjoy ourselves, and I don't give much time to people who don't allow me to enjoy it. So right, we'll say a few more hellos before we keep going. Ray, Christopher, Gary, Charles, Lynn, Patrick, Monica, Aaron, how's Tokyo, Aaron, Mary, Peter, and Brett. Yes Peter, 4 long years. Right, let's jump into the news. So the big news is that the Adelaide Expo is now this Saturday coming up. So we're only a few days away from the Adelaide Expo. This is certainly South Australia's biggest coin show, and maybe one of the bigger ones in Australia. It is on the Torrens Parade Grounds, which is in the centre of Adelaide, the corner of King William Road and Victoria Drive, next to Adelaide University. Across the road from the festival centre, there is free parking in that big car park that you can see in front of the building there. Now there's going to be about 30 dealers, and the Royal Australian Mint is attending. So because of that, there will be 2 lines to get into the building, and you can see there on that photo that I've tried to explain what the 2 lines are. The door on the left will be for the queue for the Royal Australian Mint, and the door on the right will be a queue for sort of the general area, the general dealer area. The Royal Australian Mint is going to be doing a coin swap, the first time for a very long time that they've done that. Basically, you can bring in $10 in cash and you will be able to swap that for a sealed 5 coin bag of $2 coins. And from what I understand, the two $2 coins on offer are the 2020 End of World War II coin and the 2021 Indigenous Military Service coin. And as far as I know, those are not available in 5-coin bags at the moment, so I guess that's a new product that is going to be available. They're also going to have their portable press there, where they'll be counter stamping dinosaur mint mark dollars with a map of Australia countermark. So good opportunity there to get involved with a coin swap and get a countermark coin. No doubt the mint will have limits on those bags of coins to stop people from just buying all of them. And I suspect once you've got your limit, you'll have to go and get back on the line at the end. Dealers at the show do not have allocations of those 5-coin bags. If we want them, we have to go and line up for them. So the people that have been asking me to get some for them, no. We'll be running our table. We won't have time to go and line up in the line, unfortunately. So good luck if you do go. We're really looking forward to it. So 10 o'clock next Saturday, it's opening up. Free admission. Last year's was fantastic, and we hope this year's turns out to be just as positive and exciting. Now, what else is in the news this week? There is a release this week, which is more ACDC coins. There's the details of the ACDC coins there. There's a 50-cent antique silver coin, mintage of 5,000, release price of $100, and the coloured ACDC 50-cent piece there, mintage of 30,000 and release price of $15. We're still, if you need to get your hands on these and you can pick them up in the shop, you're quite welcome to send us an email and we'll put your name down for those. We're not mailing any of these, it's too close to the expo and we don't have time, and those people who we do email on release day and let you know that we have some, we won't be taking them to the expo either. You'll have to come and pick them up at the shop, in the shop. We've already got enough stuff to take without taking these along as well. Next item in the news was a article, I believe it was a news story that happened on Wednesday or Thursday, talking about 1988 50-cent piece, and of course the journalist only told half the story, and people who are only interested in values only watched half the story. So as a consequence, we got many phone calls from people this week wanting to bring their 1988 bicentenary 50-cent pieces in here and sell them for thousands of dollars, including the person who was waiting to get in first thing on Wednesday morning and had a bag of 110 of them, and couldn't understand when I said if he had 110 then they couldn't be rare or valuable. So in 1988 we released a coin to celebrate the bicentenary of Australia, and it had tall ships on the reverse of it. There were 9 million of them made. Now what has happened is that probably through what's called mint sport, some coins were minted with the standard coat of arms reverse, so they had a 1988 obverse and a coat of arms reverse, and that's known as a mule being two dies that were not intended to be used together. And you can see there the contrast between the standard design up the top, which is not rare and not valuable and generally not worth more than 50 cents, and then you can see the mule design down the bottom there, where we've got the 1988 obverse muled with the standard coat of arms reverse. Now I have borrowed this picture from the Downies website, and they've said this was a silver proof version. I don't know if there was a standard copper nickel mule version minted or not. Peter is saying there that it's definitely mint sport and they don't look like business strikes. So mint sport, for those of you who don't know, are errors in quotation marks produced by staff at mints that are really just playing around rather than created in actual error. So this 1988 50-cent mule must have the coat of arms reverse, and not the tall ships reverse. The tall ships reverse 50-cent piece is only worth 50 cents, so please don't bring them in here, or ring us up and ask them to bring them in and sell them. Next item in the news, I just did a quick survey this morning at the $5 heritage coins and the Bathurst 50-cent pieces. So I didn't do a graph last week of the $5 heritage prices, but a couple of weeks ago they were selling for about $150. There are now any number of them available on eBay for buy it now for about $100 to $110. So once you take out the eBay fees, those people are netting maybe $90 or so. So only about 3 times release price now. Those prices will continue dropping. I have seen a few sell for about $90, including postage, on social media. So those prices will keep coming down. So if you did miss out on one and you really absolutely have to have one, maybe wait another couple of months, and I'm sure the price will come down to $75 or so, which really isn't that much of a premium on top of the release price. The Bathurst 50-cent pieces, which caused us a bit of grief on Thursday, they're currently selling for about $75. I have no doubt at all that the prices of those will drop too. The 50th anniversary of Bathurst 50-cent piece, which most people didn't even know existed, you could get last week for $30 or $35, however many years after release that is, and I suspect the Bathurst 50-cent piece will drop down as well. There were 40,000 of them minted. It's not a small mintage, and once the hype fades, that will drop back. I do believe that the 50-cent pieces will be available at the actual Bathurst race, which is next Sunday. So interesting to just see those prices fall back like they always do. If you do miss out on release day, most releases can be got for a lot less a few months after release day, rather than chasing them the day or two around release day when you will pay a premium. Now, I did note that the ABC interviewed the Assistant Treasurer this week, and one of the questions they asked was about the Charles obverse on Australian coins, and some journalist, whether it be on Channel 7 or Channel 9 journalist, misquoted, or I should say misspelt, many words that the Treasurer uttered, including spelling dyes, D-Y-E-S, and then some other journalists from the other major networks have just lifted that text willy-nilly off of the originator of it and misspelled dyes. Of course, a D-Y-E-S is what I put into my hair to pretend I'm not going grey, and a D-I-E-S is what you make a coin with, or what happens to me when I see coin dye spelt with D-Y-E-S. So the Treasurer didn't really have much new to say. He did just say that the Mint needs to ensure that the dies that they create with the Charles portrait on them are tested properly, and that they can make 200,000 or 300,000 coins. I did say that a year ago, that needed to happen. Unfortunately, the Treasurer chose to say that coins were printed, and of course coins are not printed, coins are minted, banknotes are printed. So perhaps the Treasurer should get, Assistant Treasurer should get his terminology correct there. But the rest of the information that he shared seemed to be pretty much on the ball. The journalists that paraphrased it were definitely not on the ball. So, if you are interested in coins and you do see coin stuff in the news, it is always a good laugh to just see how terribly wrong the journalists in quotation marks actually get the coin information. They do get it horrifically wrong. And I did like the fact that the Assistant Treasurer did say that, while changing the portrait to portrait of the King is going to be a fairly momentous event for us in the coin collecting community, it's not that big a deal for the Mint, because they do it every few years anyway. And of course they did it last time in 2019. What I guess has caught the Mint out this time is it did happen all of a sudden, and maybe they didn't have that several year transition available where they knew they were going to change a portrait several years in advance. And the increase in the popularity of coin collecting at the moment has no doubt increased their workload, so I guess they're just taking their time with this. the Treasurer didn't say anything that we haven't already said many times here, that, you know, we can expect a new portrait next year, or maybe the end of this year. So if you do come in here and you do ask that question, I will just tell you the same thing that we heard in the media, which is that end of this year or early next year. The obvious question then is are coins with the King's portrait on them going to be worth more? In the short term, yeah, they'll sell for a lot more in the secondary market, but in the long term, no, they won't be worth more, because of course once they are common and easily found, then people won't pay a premium for them. The next item in the news has got to do with banknotes, and you do know I like talking about countries with mixed up economies, and while India is a huge economy, they still seem to be doing a bit of toe shooting with regards to their banknotes. So in 2016, in an attempt to perhaps remove counterfeit banknotes or black economy banknotes from the economy, they gave the Indian public just a few days to turn in their 1,000 rupee and 500 rupee banknotes. The government said they were being withdrawn from circulation and demonetised, and they only gave them a few days' notice to do that. And as a consequence, there were lines of many tens of thousands of people there outside of ATMs and banks, and there were reports of people dropping dead in the lines. This is in 2016, which is fairly horrific. And just within a few weeks after that happened, the Reserve Bank of India issued a 2,000 rupee banknote. And they just printed those for a few years. They haven't printed them. They printed them from 2016 through to about 2018 or so, before they decided there were enough in circulation. And they've decided to withdraw them again. If you're wondering, 2,000 rupees is about $38. And the Reserve Bank of India has decided that too much of the monetary value in circulation is in 2,000 rupee banknotes. So they've decided to withdraw them again, so the banks aren't allowed to hand them out anymore. And the Indian public is being encouraged to swap them for lower denomination notes and or deposit them in the bank. About 93% of the notes have been returned. They extended the deadline from the end of September till the first week in October. And interestingly, 87% of the people that have turned their notes in have actually put them in the bank rather than change them for smaller denomination notes. Now, I don't know about you, but I just can't imagine the Australian government giving us 48 hours notice for perhaps demonetising the $5 note and then issuing another note just a few days later. It just seems to be very strange that these governments do these things on such short notice. Right, before we jump into the topic of the day, I'll just have a look at a few more questions. Hello David, hello Alison. Mike says new mint sets can't be far away. Mike, my memory from last year is that they happened towards the end of November. They happened out of sequence from the usual mint releases, which is the first Thursday of the month. So from what I remember, they happened at the end of November. So I suspect that will be coming up soon, and no doubt they will have the King's portrait on them, and no doubt there will be a lot of frenetic activity about people trying to get their hands on those. And I, as always, do counsel people to just be patient, because generally they make mint sets through the year. And if you look back at the last year, the Vegemite mint sets have been available on and off from the mint. When they're not available, profiteers are selling them for well above release price, and then just a couple of weeks later they're available again at release price. Just be patient, folks, okay? Just be patient. There is very little in your life that requires you to have this year's mint set by the end of the week that makes it worth paying a premium for. Peter says it's a serious misuse of the word journalist. Yes, that's right, Peter. Hello, Bevan. Thanks for watching. Jay Pop says the mule happened in 1977 as well. Yes, I believe that's right, Jay, that they paired the regular obverse with the regular coat of arms reverse. Right. Aaron says hopefully the mint will limit to say 1 or 2 $10 bags per person. I suspect it'll be something like Aaron, or five bags or something like that. It won't be many. Hello Adam, and hello Wendy. Right, topic of the week is some basic terms, because I was so disgusted this morning by journalists misusing the word die, D-Y-E, as opposed to D-I-E. So, of course, coins are struck with dies, D-I-E-S. And if I wanted to cover up my grey, I would use D-Y-E-S. So, coins are struck with dies. Coins are minted or struck. They are not printed. I often see that people misusing the word printed, calling coin errors misprints. They are not printed. They are minted. And what is the basic terminology for a coin? And I've done this little diagram here. So that's a 1937 crown there. And there's 5 terms there that every coin collector should know, because it allows you to discuss the condition of a coin with common terminology that other coin collectors understand. It is important for a few reasons. If you're just getting into coin collecting, it's important to know these terms because it allows you to understand what coin dealers or people selling coins or people on social media groups are saying. It allows you to communicate to other coin collectors in a common language. You're not inventing your own language, of course. And if you are perhaps buying a coin from a coin dealer or someone on social media and they say that there are heavy bag marks in the fields, you know what that means. It's important to understand this terminology. So, of course, we've got the obverse of a coin, which is what we would colloquially call the head side of the coin. And on the 1937 crown, it's up the top there. And then we've got the reverse of the coin, which is colloquially known as the tail side of the coin. And on the crown, it's on the bottom there. So that's obverse and reverse. That's an important pair of terms to understand. Then we've got the fields, and the fields are the flat part of the coin that don't have any design struck on them. So in the case of our 1937 crown there, the obverse fields are in front of and behind the king's head. Some coins have a large area of fields on them, and you might say that if it's got a large area of field, then that is more subject to bag marking. Whereas if there is less area of field, perhaps you can get less bag marking in those fields. So on the reverse of the crown, the area of fields is quite small when compared to the obverse. So it's the flat parts around the crown there, perhaps the flat parts in the middle of the design there. All right, sorry, we've just got a question here I'll have a look at. Nikki says, Mark, I've a question. Last night someone was saying the crown is a $5 coin, but I was under the impression it was equal to 5 shillings. A crown, it would be the equivalent to 50 cents. So 5 shillings, 1 shilling was 10 cents. So if you haven't ever seen pre-decimal currency and you are here in the shop, do ask us to get out a florin and a shilling and we'll compare them to a 20-cent piece and a 10-cent piece for you. So the florin and the shilling were exactly the same size as a 20-cent piece and a 10-cent piece. So a shilling was 10 cents, 5 shillings is equivalent to 50 cents. Okay, so this was a quarter of a pound being the equivalent to $2. So it's definitely not a $5 coin. This was the largest denomination coin that was struck. No, let me rephrase that. This is the largest denomination silver coin that was struck in Australia, and of course the largest denomination circulation coin struck in Australia, I guess, was the sovereign. I'm not sure if £2 and £5 coins were struck for circulation or other reasons. So definitely not a $5 coin. Right, next term, device. So device is the design element. So in the case of our crown here, the device is the portrait of the king on the obverse and the crown on the reverse there. And then we've got the legends. They are the words or lettering around the edges of the coin. And then the other side of a coin, because a coin does of course have 3 sides, is the edge. The edge is the flat part that runs around the sides. And then you've got the raised rim on the obverse and reverse as well. So the rim is different to the edge. The rim is that raised part, generally it has denticles or rim beads around it, whereas the edge would have edge graining or edge milling or reeding or something like that. Peter says £2, £5 specimens only. I'm not quite sure. So were the £2 struck for circulation, Peter? Or were they just specimens? I'm not sure what you're saying there. Perhaps you can clarify that for us. Right, so that's some basic coin terminology there. And the next one's an interesting one when we talk about blanks versus planchets, because you will often find those terms used interchangeably, a coin blank or a coin planchet. And there is a lot of people that use interchangeable terms for this. There's some people that say that before the coin is struck, the disc of metal is called a blank, and once it is struck, it's called a planchet. There's other people who say that the round disc of metal, when it is punched out of metal sheet, is called a blank, and then as soon as a rim is applied to it, because for a lot of coins there is an intermediate operation between the blank being made and the coin being struck, where they apply a rim to that coin. They do that with an upsetting mill. The reason they do that is to lower the pressure of striking that's required. The reason why you put a rim on a coin is it helps protect the design in circulation, because it looks terrible for a country if their coins wear out very quickly. So there are some people who say that a blank is just a round disc of metal, and then once a rim applied to it, it becomes a planchet. And if you hunt around the internet, you'll find that there are various definitions for it, and then if you actually look at what various mints such as the Royal Australian Mint, the Royal Canadian Mint, and the Royal Mint in the UK say, they basically use the terms interchangeably. So while I do understand that numismatists might quibble about the exact definition of what a blank versus a planchet is, I think these days it's just fairly safe to say that they mean the same thing to most people, and it's just that the disc of metal before a coin is struck is a blank or a planchet. I don't think there's any particular need to further complicate it than that. The next bit of information here, which I thought was worth sharing with you today, is what's called a Type 1 versus Type 2 blank or planchet. Now this is one that is fairly well accepted. A Type 1 blank or planchet is a blank or planchet that has not had a rim applied to it, whereas a Type 2 blank or planchet is one that has had a rim applied to it. So there we've got a collection of Australian decimal blanks from 1 cent through to $2. And you can see that the 50-cent blank and the 1 cent blank do not have rims applied to them, so you would call them Type 1 blanks or planchets, and all the other denominations do have a rim applied to them, so they are called Type 2 blanks or planchets. Why does the mints choose to apply rims to some coins and not others? Well, the 50 cent is fairly obvious. It's going to be pretty hard to run a dodecagonal blank through rollers to apply a rim to it, so obviously they can't do that. And if you do look at 50 cent pieces, you will often see that they have very flat rims on them. And then the 1 cent piece is very small, so the pressure required to strike up the rims is not as high as a larger coin, so they've decided that that intermediate operation is not required. The last term I thought I would cover is a rather confusing one, and it's the difference between what I'm calling uncirculated the grade is and uncirculated the marketing term. So at the top there we have a 1902 British half crown, and that coin is uncirculated. And what does that mean? It means it has no wear on it from being in circulation. It doesn't mean it hasn't been in circulation, it just means that it has no wear on it from being in circulation. At the bottom there we have a snapshot of the card of the Bathurst coin that was released last week, and the Royal Australian Mint has said on that card, sorry it's very small here, it's so small I can't actually see it, that's terrible isn't it? Finish uncirculated. So that's what they're calling the finish on it. Now, what has happened there is that over the last couple of decades, mints around the world have had to come up with definitions for different coins that they make for the collector market and distinguishing the finishes on those coins. And back in the 1970s, most mints really just stuck with uncirculated and proof. Uncirculated basically meaning not proof, and proof meaning proof. So, in the case of a 1977 uncirculated set, the Royal Australian Mint was really just saying this is a 1970 set of coins that they are calling uncirculated standard, but what they effectively are coins that are struck with standard circulation designs and perhaps not necessarily particularly specially prepared dies or struck in a particularly special way. So it does lead to a lot of collectors not understanding that uncirculated as a grade is quite different to uncirculated as a production standard. And these days you could actually argue that a lot of what mints call coins struck to uncirculated standards back many years ago could have been called specimens or proofs, because they do actually take special care with them. And the good example for that is the wedding sets that were created by the Royal Australian Mint in the first decade of the 2000s. They called them gem uncirculated, but by all other standards you would have called them specimens, because they were created with specially prepared dies, specially prepared blanks, and they were struck in a particular way. So it is important not to confuse uncirculated as a grade and uncirculated as a production standard that various mints use. Right, let's have a look here at the questions. Peter says that the £2 and £5 were not struck for circulation, so the highest denomination coin struck in Australia was £1 for circulation, £1 being 10 shillings. No, sorry, 20 shillings. Sorry about that. £1 being 20 shillings or 10 florins, because of course a florin was the first attempt at decimalisation that the British had. Hello Peter, hello Wendy, and Jay says, do you think the mint's quality of coins has been dropping off? No, I don't think that at all. I think that the quality of coins can vary from year to year. I don't think the mint is creating specimen sets anymore, those wedding sets anymore, so that quality of coin has disappeared. I feel like the proof coins are as good as ever, certainly a lot better than they were in the 1970s and 1980s. The quality of the packaging varies from year to year, without doubt. I do feel like a lot of the packaging is more archival safe than what it used to be. We don't see PVC wallets anymore. In the sort of early 2000s, there was masterpieces in silver sets that had degrading packaging in the 1990s. There was the domed crux, the domed constellation sets that had degrading packaging, but I think the mint learns fairly quickly from that sort of stuff. And I guess if you want to have a look at how the quality has improved, perhaps go and have a look at PCGS grading tables and just see how there are a lot more PR70 proofs from the more recent proof sets compared to those in the 1970s and 1980s. Similarly, I invite you to have a look at the MS grades for standard circulation coins, and you'll find that the more recent years are probably a lot better than the 70s and 80s. So I don't feel like the quality. I know it's fashionable to rag on the mint, but there's no doubt production quality has improved, in my opinion. Now the actual thematic quality of releases, has that degraded? Well, that's a lot more debatable, isn't it? But certainly I think the quality of coins is as good as ever. Peter says wedding sets were struck at least 4 times, as were the proofs. So wedding sets are an interesting one. They're an undervalued thing. Most of them have low mintages. The quality of the coin is probably, they're the best non-proof decimal coins ever created by the mint, in my opinion, and they've certainly never been surpassed since then. And if you don't know what a wedding set is, then do seek one out and buy them, and you'll be quite amazed by the quality of the coins in those. They're very different to what the mint is producing now. Right, that's it. It's a public holiday. I want to go home. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope everyone's enjoying their public holiday wherever you are. And hang on, there's a couple more questions here. Sorry about that. Adam says, yes, on the AFL Big Things, Woolworths coins and re 50 cent releases. I'm not sure what Adam's... I think that's more of a thematic quality, Adam. And as I said, the thematic quality of the releases, has that increased. I think, like I said, that's debatable, but the quality of the coins, I think, is as good as ever. The Big Things sets are an interesting one because, those coins are produced to quite different standards to mint sets and coins for packaging, and they bang around in mint bags before they get into the post offices and before they get into folders. But the actual silver proof sets and aluminium bronze proof sets for those things are beautiful. They're really good. So right, that's it. I want to go home. Thanks Wendy, thanks Gwen, thanks Gary, thanks Monica, thanks Michelle, and thanks Greg and Aaron. Look forward to seeing everyone here in Adelaide at the Coin Show next weekend, and hope everyone has a great time. Happy collecting. Remember, this is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, get another hobby. I shouldn't say that, but it's supposed to be fun. Try to enjoy what you're doing. Don't worry about the dollars, just have fun. Alright, everyone, bye for now. We'll see you at the expo this weekend. Bye.